Men, let's be real for a second. There's a pain that cuts deeper than betrayal. A pain that doesn't just break your heart, it shatters your sense of self. Imagine looking into the eyes of the woman you swore would stand by you forever. And something feels different. She's there, but not really there. Her touch doesn't spark the same fire. Her eyes, they look past you. And deep down in your gut, you know something has changed. Infidelity isn't just about another man in your wife's bed. It's about the silent death of trust. And when you feel that shift, when her love no longer feels like yours, it can crush you, leaving you questioning your worth, your masculinity, your very identity. But brother, you are not alone. And you are not crazy for noticing the signs. Too many men ignore the truth because it's too painful to face. They bury their instincts, hoping the problem will fade. But here's the truth. Your intuition is screaming at you for a reason. Today, I want to speak to the men who feel lost in this storm. The ones who are questioning if they've been replaced. I'll walk you through 7 clear signs that your wife may have given herself to another man. Not to destroy you, but to give you the clarity you desperately need. Because healing begins with truth. One of the clearest and most painful signs that your wife may have given herself to another man is emotional distance. And let me be very clear here. Emotional distance doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in quietly, slowly, like a shadow stretching across the room, until one day you realize the woman you loved feels like a stranger sitting next to you. Think back to when you first fell in love. You probably couldn't wait to share every thought, every idea, every dream with each other. She told you about her day, her frustrations, the silly things her co-workers said. You were the first person she turned to when she needed comfort, guidance, or just a listening ear. That intimacy wasn't just physical. It was emotional, spiritual, and deeply human. But now she's quiet. She doesn't tell you about her struggles anymore. She keeps her thoughts locked inside. Or worse, she shares them with someone else. Her laughter no longer bubbles up when you walk into the room. The conversations that once felt endless now feel forced, awkward, or filled with silence. You can feel it in your bones. Something is missing. Emotional distance is often the first stage of infidelity. Why? Because before a woman gives her body, she usually gives her heart. And when she's already investing emotionally in another man, her connection with you begins to wither. That's why it feels so different. You're not imagining it. You're experiencing the absence of something that used to be alive. And here's the danger. Too many men dismiss this sign. They tell themselves, she's just stressed. Or, maybe I'm overthinking it. They gaslight themselves out of the truth. But let me remind you, brother, when a woman you love no longer opens her soul to you, it's not just a phase. It's a warning light blinking red. If you feel her heart slipping away, you must face it head on. Don't ignore it. Don't bury it under excuses. Emotional distance is the soil where betrayal grows. And the longer you pretend it's not there, the deeper her roots with another man can take hold. Clarity starts with honesty. If she no longer shares her world with you, you owe it to yourself to ask why. Intimacy is more than sex. It's touch. It's closeness. It's the way she looks at you when your hands brush against hers. It's the little spark that lives in the quiet moments, when she rests her head on your chest or curls up next to you at night. True intimacy is a language spoken without words. And when that language changes, brother, it says more than words ever could. One of the strongest signs that something is wrong is when your wife's desire for intimacy shifts drastically without reason. Maybe she no longer initiates. Maybe she avoids your touch. Maybe she says she's too tired every night. Or worse, she simply goes through the motions, giving you her body, but not her heart. That kind of intimacy feels empty. It feels like she's somewhere else, even while she's lying in your arms. Understand, this woman rarely separates physical intimacy from emotional connection. If her passion fades suddenly, it often means her emotions and possibly her loyalty have shifted elsewhere. Another man may be occupying the place you once held, not just in her heart, but in her body too. But there's another side of this coin. Sometimes the shift doesn't look like rejection. Sometimes it looks like sudden and unexpected intensity. She becomes more experimental, more daring, more eager in bed, and you're left wondering, where did this come from? Who taught her this? Why now? That too can be a sign. A guilty conscience masking itself through sudden bursts of physical attention. The truth is, intimacy doesn't just change without a cause. If she's cold, something has frozen between you. If she's suddenly wild, something has ignited elsewhere. Either way, the shift speaks volumes. Too many men ignore these signs because they're afraid of what they might find if they look too closely. But denial won't save you. It will only prolong the pain. If your wife no longer meets you in intimacy the way she once did, it is not something to brush off. It is a call for awareness, for courage, and for truth. When the language of intimacy changes, it's not your imagination. It's a signal that something deeper is happening, and you must decide if you're ready to face it. One of the most telling signs of hidden betrayal is not what she says, it's how she reacts. Pay close attention here, because this is where many men miss the truth. A faithful woman has no reason to be overly guarded when you ask her simple everyday questions. But when guilt is living in her heart, defensiveness becomes her armor. Think about it. You ask her, "Hey, why were you home late?" Instead of a calm explanation, she lashes out, "Why are you always questioning me? Don't you trust me?" You ask something as harmless as, "Ooh, were you texting?" And suddenly it turns into an argument about how you're controlling or paranoid. Brother, understand this. A defensiveness is often a cover-up. It's a shield that hides guilt, because deep down she knows she's carrying a secret, and the fear of being exposed makes her snap at even the simplest inquiry. Her anger isn't about your question. It's about her conscience. Here's what's important. Not every defensive response means she's cheating. Sometimes stress, exhaustion, or past wounds can make people reactive, but there's a difference between temporary frustration and consistent hostility. If every time you try to connect, ask, or clarify, she meets you with walls instead of openness, that's a red flag waving right in your face. Another layer to this is blame shifting. Instead of addressing your concern, she flips the script and makes you the problem. You're too insecure. You're always nagging. You're impossible to please. Sound familiar? That's not communication. That's deflection. And deflection often means there's something deeper she's hiding. The sad reality is many men ignore this behavior because they don't want to rock the boat. They tell themselves, maybe she's just stressed. Maybe I am being too suspicious. But no, brother, your intuition matters. If her defensiveness feels off, it probably is. A healthy marriage thrives on openness and trust. A wife who has nothing to hide will welcome your questions, even if they're uncomfortable, because she values honesty and connection. But a wife who grows defensive at every turn, that's a sign her loyalty may no longer belong to you. Don't dismiss the anger. Don't overlook the blame. Defensiveness often speaks the loudest when guilt is living in silence. A woman's life tells a story through her routine. When she loves you, when she's committed to you, her time naturally reflects that. She wants to be around you. She makes space for you. She prioritizes the relationship. But when her loyalty begins to drift, when another man starts to take her attention, the first thing that changes is how she spends her time. At first, it may be subtle. She suddenly has more work projects that keep her late at the office. She begins taking phone calls in another room, claiming they're just friends or colleagues. She runs more errands than usual, but when you ask what took so long, her answers feel vague, inconsistent, or simply rehearsed. The truth is, time doesn't lie. Where she invests her hours is where her heart is. If she's not investing that time with you, if her daily patterns feel off, you have every reason to pay attention. Now, I need to be clear here. Life is busy. Jobs can be demanding, friendships require attention, and sometimes people simply need personal space. But when those changes in her routine begin to stack up, when late nights turn into early mornings, when explanations start to sound like excuses, when you feel more and more like an afterthought. You cannot ignore the pattern. Men often silence themselves at this stage because they don't want to appear insecure. They tell themselves, I don't want to seem controlling, I should just trust her. But trust is not blind. Trust is built on consistency. And when consistency disappears, trust needs to be re-examined. The danger lies in pretending you don't see it, because the truth is, when another man is in the picture, her routine will reflect it. Time with you decreases, energy toward you fades. Her calendar fills up with spaces you're not invited into. Brother, love leaves a trail. And so does betrayal. If her routine no longer makes sense, if she's creating more distance in her schedule than connection, it's not paranoia, it's evidence. Pay attention, not because you want to catch her, but because you deserve clarity about where her heart truly is. One of the deepest shifts a man feels when his wife's loyalty has wandered is her sudden loss of interest in him. Not his body, not even his presence, but his world. A woman who loves you wants to be part of your victories, your failures, your dreams, and your battles. She listens when you speak, not because the topic is exciting, but because you are the one saying it. That's intimacy. It's shared interest in each other's lives. But when another man enters her heart, that energy fades. She no longer asks how your day went. She stops celebrating your wins. She rolls her eyes when you share your ideas. Or worse, she's not even listening anymore. Conversations that once felt alive now feel like you're speaking into the void. This disinterest doesn't always look like hostility. Sometimes it looks like indifference. She doesn't fight with you. She doesn't argue. She just doesn't care. Your world no longer moves her because her attention has shifted to someone else's. And for a man, this type of rejection cuts deeper than anger because it tells you you're no longer her priority. Think back to when she first loved you. She would ask questions about things she didn't even fully understand just to feel closer to you. She cared about your struggles at work, your relationships with friends, your goals for the future. That energy is what fueled your bond. When that curiosity dies, it's a sign something inside the relationship is dying too. Too many men misinterpret this as just stress or she's busy. And yes, life can be demanding. But let me remind you, brother, love makes time for what it values. A woman deeply connected to you will still find ways to care even in her busiest season. When her care is gone completely, it's not time that stole it, it's attention redirected. And here's the brutal truth. When she is emotionally invested in another man, she no longer has the capacity to invest in yours. Her heart has limited space, and she has already given it elsewhere. If she shows no interest in your world, don't dismiss it. It's not a phase, it's a symptom. A symptom that her heart may no longer belong where her vows said it should. In today's world, technology has become an extension of our lives. Phones, laptops, social media, these are where conversations live, where emotions are shared, where secrets are kept. And one of the loudest signs that something has shifted in your wife's loyalty is when her relationship with her devices suddenly becomes private. Think about it. You've known her habits for years. She used to leave her phone on the couch, screen facing up, with no worry in the world. You could pick it up to check the time or play music, and she didn't flinch. But now, the moment you even glance at her screen, she moves it away. Her phone never leaves her side. It's locked tighter than a safe, and new passwords appear without explanation. Brother, let me be blunt. Privacy in marriage is normal, but secrecy is not. There's a difference. Everyone deserves a sense of personal space, but when transparency disappears, suspicion grows. If she suddenly guards her phone like it contains nuclear codes, ask yourself, what changed? What is she protecting? And it's not just about the phone, it's about the patterns. Does she flip her screen down when you walk into the room? Does she type faster and exit apps the moment you approach? Has she suddenly become obsessed with deleting messages, clearing histories, or keeping her notifications hidden? These aren't just quirks, these are signals. Sometimes men convince themselves they're being paranoid. They say, I should respect her privacy. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But understand this. When you're married, your lives are meant to be intertwined. Her secrecy doesn't protect her independence. It hides her connection with someone else. Technology tells the truth. Hidden conversations, late-night texts, social media accounts that suddenly feel like strangers to you. These things reveal where her attention is going, and if it's no longer toward you, it may be toward another man. A faithful wife has nothing to fear from openness, but a guilty one will guard her devices as if her marriage depends on it, because in truth it does. If her technology has turned into a fortress you're no longer allowed to enter, don't ignore it. Secrecy is often the language of betrayal, and her phone may already hold the answers you've been afraid to